Good afternoon, I'm Paweł Trzaskowski and this is World News. Today, EU energy ministers backed a plan to ban all imports of Russian natural gas by the end of 2027. The initiative comes on the back of Washington's pressure on Europe to stop buying fuel from Moscow and still has to be agreed with the European Parliament.
This is Baltic Pipe, a gas link connecting Poland to Norway. It allowed Warsaw to slash import of Russian gas down to zero in 2023. Brussels would like other member states to follow suit. That's the crux of the proposal agreed today by the EU's energy ministers.
For far too long we have been dependent on gas from an aggressor who is conducting an illegal war in Ukraine.
The ban would enter force in two steps. The first prohibits Russian supplies under existing short-term contracts after June. The other calls for quitting long-term contracts by the end of December 2027. Now, Hungary and Slovakia, which increased their reliance on Russian gas since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, opposed the measure, but weren't able to muster a blocking minority.
It was clear today that these member states will receive support. We'll be offering them concrete backing in terms of gas supplies.
The pipeline networks of Poland and Slovakia are connected, with the former capable of covering a lion's share of the latter's needs.
At today's press conference, Polish Justice Minister Waldemar Żurek spoke about Volodymyr Zhuravlov, who's been accused by German prosecution of blowing up the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline linking Russia and Germany. In his statement, the minister emphasized that the court's decision not to extradite the suspect was justified.
The prosecutor's office will definitely not appeal this verdict. I believe that this is a sound and well-reasoned decision. The most important thing for us is that the court explained very precisely why it applied a sort of non-standard ruling in this case. Criminal proceedings were underway in Poland over the sabotage of the pipeline, but the person detained under a European arrest warrant was not charged with anything in relation to the case because there was no evidence. The court was clear. If Ukraine was attacked by Russia, then the doctrine of a just war is in effect. And Ukrainians have a right to defend themselves and can also do so by attacking economic ventures. And we all know that the Nord Stream pipeline was an instrument to drive Russia's economy.
More than 200 people have been convicted on terrorism charges in Russia in the first half of this year, more than triple the number for the whole of 2024. Moreover, many of the indictments have little to do with actual attacks, but usually bring charges of justifying terrorism. According to Radio Liberty, the number of people convicted on terrorism charges has increased more than tenfold since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The authors of the report emphasized that the indictments frequently refer to broadly defined aiding and abetting or justifying terrorism rather than actual terrorist activity. This stricter interpretation of anti-terrorism laws is part of the Kremlin's crackdown on dissent. Last week, 18-year-old music student Diana Loginova was arrested after her performance of the popular song Swan Lake Cooperative. A St. Petersburg court found her guilty of organizing an unplanned gathering and sentenced to 13 days in prison, after which the singer will be charged with discrediting the Russian military. Today, Polish President Karol Nawrocki and his Lithuanian counterpart Gitanas Nausėda opened a stretch of Via Baltica, an important route connecting Warsaw with Tallinn. The road is not only critical economically, but also crucial for the defense of the Baltic states.
This is one of the most important roads in Europe. Hidden under a dual code name E67, in Poland it's known more widely as Via Baltica. Today, it's one step closer to completion.
Via Baltica opens up new opportunities. This road will create new jobs and lead to new economic developments.
Via Baltica connects Warsaw with Tallinn and runs through 4 countries. Only the Polish part of the road, spanning 310 kilometers, has now been fully completed. Today, a crucial 12-kilometer stretch beginning at the Polish-Lithuanian border has been opened, so now you can take a trip from Warsaw to Kaunas and not leave a dual carriageway. But progress on the remaining part of the road has been slow, which isn't great because Via Baltica is also important for military mobility.
This road is certified for dual use. Should anything happen, though I believe next couple years will be peaceful, Via Baltica will make us safer.
Which translates into this road will be the main route for reinforcements coming to aid the Baltic states. At the same time, a new railway called Rail Baltica is also under construction to connect the Baltics to the wider European network. But this project is even more delayed, with deadlines pushed to the next decade.
North Macedonia's ruling party, the Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization Democratic Party for Macedonian National Unity, claimed victory in the first round of the country's local elections. According to preliminary results from the State Election Commission, the party secured 32 mayoral seats and is leading the races in dozens more. With 90% of the votes counted, the ruling centre-right party and its coalition are ahead in 54 municipalities. The ruling party secured a symbolic win in Strumica, a long-standing opposition stronghold, but the opposition downplayed the significance of the defeat, saying that the International Macedonian Revolutionary Organization lost approximately 30% of its support compared to last year's vote. The second round is scheduled for November the 2nd, which will decide on the control of 33 municipalities. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is set to begin a 5-year prison sentence, becoming the first French leader in modern history to serve time behind bars. Sarkozy is convicted of criminal conspiracy over illegal campaign financing linked to Libya. Will be transferred to Paris's notorious Santerre prison tomorrow, even as his appeal remains underway. The move has sparked fierce debate in France over justice, politics and the rule of law.
President of the French Republic from 2007 to 2012, Nicolas Sarkozy is set to move into Paris's Santerre prison on Tuesday for an unprecedented 5-year sentence. He will add to the list of other notable figures who have resided behind its walls, including former Olympique de Marseille owner Bernard Tapie, who was convicted of corruption, Rwandan genocide suspect Félicien Kabuga, and French Nazi collaborator Maurice Papon, convicted of crimes against humanity.
On the first evening at 7 p.m., they will lock your door with bolts. The doors have a key in the middle and a bolt at the top at the bottom that are only locked at night and make a noise you will never forget. Clack, clack.
Sarkozy, who is appealing his conviction, was found guilty last month of criminal conspiracy over efforts by close aides to procure funds for his successful 2007 presidential bid from Libya during the rule of late dictator Muammar Gaddafi. A few doubt his guilt, but many are concerned that the jail sentence was enforced before the appeals process was completed. French far-right leader Marine Le Pen, who is appealing her own embezzlement conviction, sees this as a worrying development in France's judiciary.
What's certain is that this decision, which comes after mine, raises a major issue. Some courts completely disregard the principle of double jurisdiction. Once again, I believe that sentencing a president to prison before he has even been definitely judged is extremely serious for our rule of law.
And numerous analysts also see in this hints of an ailing Macron government grasping to hold on to power.
Well, I think it's a symbol of the dire political situation in which we are, where the justice can afford to bring incarceration a French president. I'm not saying he's not guilty, but I'm saying that the incarceration was a bit of interpretation, well, a huge interpretation by the judges. And this has become a political affair by say. Nicolas Sarkozy was judged in 12 other affairs, but he is incarcerated for just this one.
Now, France's current president, Emmanuel Macron, could have intervened in Nicolas Sarkozy's case with a presidential pardon, but has so far chosen not to do so. According to French daily Le Figaro, Macron did invite Sarkozy to the Élysée Palace this Monday morning, but the details of their hour-long discussion have not yet been disclosed.
It says a lot also about the political situation in which we are, since Nicolas Sarkozy was a political opponent of Emmanuel Macron.
Nicolas Sarkozy will likely be placed in solitary confinement in a 10-square-meter cell while he awaits his appeal. He will have access to limited telephone contact and a 1-hour walk per day.
And this concludes our news bulletin. Coming up, news in depth with Marie Cato and her guest, Marcin Zaborowski.